Welcome to this workshop. This is going to be on design-led AI solutions to supercharge innovation, and you get first-hand experience of the AI design sprint method. We start with a short round of introductions. Hi, I'm Sabine, representing Emerald AI. I'm based in Berlin, so I used to go to DataNatives for the last 3 years in person. And I welcome this change. I'm a data scientist and an AI consultant. Before I moved into self-employment, I used to work for Microsoft, also for Accenture. My academic background is in cognitive neuroscience. I have a PhD and these degrees that led to it. And I'm also the EdTech co-founder of a new startup focusing on the education of the next generation of AI leaders. My co-founder Sandeep should be in the audience, and he's going to share a link with you if you want to learn more about it. Otherwise, it's all going to be about the design sprint today. And I let Mike and Jonas introduce themselves too.
Hello, Jonas. Who are you?
Yeah, okay. So my name is Jonas. I'm one of the founders of 33A. We call ourselves an AI design firm. And it's basically about communicating, okay, what can you do with AI and what makes sense for your context with stakeholders from all different expertises. And we both, Mike and I, would come from more from a design, and I personally from a service design background.
Yes, and I'm Mike, the other one.
Anything else you want
to? No, I'm Mike. I'm the one in Copenhagen. Jonas is the one in Düsseldorf.
I'm the one in Berlin. Cool. Now that you introduce yourself, now that we introduce ourselves, we also want to learn about you. So we have 2 polling questions. The first one is, what is your current status? And also, what are your key interests? If you could select the polling feature from Zoom, then the polls will be started and we can hopefully also evaluate them. So maybe the assistant will help us with that.
Yes, so we already have some polls. We have 4 data scientists in the house, 2 software engineers, 1 data strategist, 2 managers, 1 startup founder, and 5 others.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Anything about the interests?
Yes, so we basically have all the interests with leads in data and AI strategy, data and AI products, processes, and use cases, closely followed by innovation through data science and AI. Then we have implementation of data and AI, technical side. Then we have data and AI business understanding, academic data and AI research, followed by concept development for data science and AI, digital transformation, and last but not the least is innovation management.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your answers. And next, I want to start out with this situation. You're in a meeting, you're brainstorming ideas, and you might have found yourself in this situation before where you're supposed to come up with something innovative and you have that great idea, but what you're asked to do is pretty much to just keep the things exactly as they are. And from my personal data science journey, it reminds me of my first data science job, where I had built a microservice. It was a recommender system to match candidates with jobs. And previously in the company, they had something like a very complex SQL query doing that job. And my service was going to replace the old one. My model was ready to go into production, but it never made it there because it was considered too risky. So what I did, I downgraded it so much that it was pretty much the same as the product they had before, just that it was now running on different technologies. So see, what is your version? How do you connect to this? And now we have another interactive exercise. I would like to know from you, what are some of the challenges that you have experienced when it comes to innovating in the data and AI space, or even if you are more from the design sprints and you're just entering data, what are some of the innovation blocks that you've experienced? You can now use the annotate feature in Zoom and directly write something on the screen, just a brief bullet point, if you have anything in mind. I hope that is working.
So on the screen, someone wrote in the chat.
Oh, it's not working on the screen? Okay, so if you can see it in the chat, I will stay in this presentation mode. Yeah, if you have something to share in the chat, unfortunately, if annotation doesn't work, then that would be great if someone in the team can follow up with Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, so right now some are writing in the chat.
Cool.
And everyone can see that also.
Yeah, I can't see it right now because I'm in the presentation mode. But if you want to
Oh, okay. If I read that.
Go through some of the answers, that would be great.
A lack of knowledge. Yeah, please innovate current status, but don't change anything. Or finding the right starting point to motivate the new project, process and politics, managers, directors not having knowledge of machine learning, AI and its potential. Or Sabine, it seems inertia to innovation is still a challenge in many places in the industry, yes. Low quality data and also lack of data. How to know whether we have enough labeled data? Is it worth investing into this attempt to improve our situation? Then another one, it's standard protocols to do the data and AI jump, to transmit security of the transition to the people who will decide if it goes on or not. A risk-averse culture, no failure tolerance, blah, 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 and so on.
Yeah.
I hope I covered some of them.
Thank you so much for your answers and participating. Yeah, I've seen many of those problems myself. So let's not focus on the pain points anymore, and let's look at potential solutions. And I hand over to Mike.
Yes, and here we are looking at the start of an AI project. We are looking at the scoping phase. And looking at the scoping phase, now the next slide should come where we will see a video of Andrew Ng talking about how he approaches this.
And it will take just a second to load. It does work, but unfortunately it's a bit slow.
So he needs a little moment to gather himself.
Problems. So
okay.
Yes.
One of the things I'm still trying to get better at is scoping useful problems to work or to solve. And so, you know, I find that when AI is very interdisciplinary, right? I find that AI by itself is totally useless. You know, what was AI for? AI has to be applied to some important application or some useful application for it to create value. So when I meet with my healthcare friends, or when I meet with business leaders, you know, in manufacturing, in telco, in agriculture, I usually tell them, don't tell me about your AI problems. I don't hear about your AI problems. Tell me about your healthcare problems, your business problems, or your telco problems, or your manufacturing problems, whatever. And it is my job to work with you to see if there's an AI solution. But so my common workflow is to learn about my collaborators' business problems, and then to work together to brainstorm AI solutions. I think there's certain set of things that AI can do. certain set of things that are valuable for business. And then when I use the term business, I mean in a very generic way. I mean also, for a collaborative research lab, or for a nonprofit, or for a government entity, right? But we want to select projects at the intersection of these two sets. Only AI experts today have a really good sense of what's in the set on the left, and only domain experts have a really good sense of what's in the set on the right. And so I tend to go to partners that are domain experts, ask them to tell me about their problems, and then brainstorm solutions. And I think also, the process of diligence on value and feasibility and resource analysis. So these are important parts of the scoping process.
Okay.
Super.
I hope that broadcasted well.
Yes, perfect. Okay, so what we heard was Andrew and G talking about the what needs to be done in that phase. And what we will introduce is how to do that, or how to do that also like in a very systematic way. And this is what we'll see today.
Cool. And this is also where design and data and AI come together. So they might be separate disciplines, but really we should see them as natural companions and weaving them together to unlock their full benefits, so that this can foster fresh thinking to solve tough challenges. And here we have another polling question. So I'd like to know about your experience, what describes it best, your experience with design and data science. So one more polling question, and it would be great if you can comment on the results once more. Thank you.
Okay, so here we also have a range of answers. There are 4 people who are planning on using design thinking methods to solve data and AI problems in the future. There are 3 who have no practical experience with design thinking. 1 person has some practical experience. Another one is familiar with design thinking, and they apply it in their daily business on a regular basis. 1 person applied design thinking methods to solve data and AI problems. 1 person has just heard of design sprints. 2 people have participated. 1 person has heard of the AI design sprint, and there are 3 people who have never heard of design sprints.
Thank you. Back to Mike.
Super, and then we are already in the AI design sprint, and to look at, so what is it? It's based on the Google design sprint, which is a 1-week process, but the AI design sprint is shorter because we want to have decision makers in the room, and the focus is on AI. The purpose is to bring the stakeholders and cross-functional teams together and to, into alignment. And yes, I'm also reading it with the common business objectives. Okay, and I'm reading it again, allows you to rapidly solve big challenges, creating new products or improving existing ones. And on the bottom, we see 5 boxes. These are the elements of the AI design sprint. So it starts with the framing, where we decide what we want to focus on. We develop a concept. We look at the company in a tech check. What's the data and system in place? We have a presentation where we then recommend with which product, with which concept to start with, and we deliver an experience prototype. And when we talked about the Google Design Sprint, the inventor of the Google Design Sprint really likes the AI Design Sprint.
Let's try it out. So Jonas is going to share with you a link in the chat.
Mike is going to share the link. I will share my screen when you allow me.
So I stop sharing.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So I think you should have the link by now. I'm not 100% sure. Mike, hope
Yeah.
you thumbs up. So the link should lead you to a page looking like this. Maybe if the board doesn't show itself in the first moment, then you need to zoom out a little bit. And let me just briefly show you the basic functions that we actually need. If you zoom out, the board should appear for everybody. What we need to be able to do is we need to be able to navigate. So we need to able to move around to the left, to the right. So this typically works with a space, with pressing space and then using your mouse or your touchboard.
Is everyone
Then you
on
need
the
to be
board?
able to-
Did everyone go on the link? Has anyone problem with going on the link and seeing something? So this is what you should see when going on the link. Okay, it works for me. I'm seeing in the chat. Okay, perfect.
I hope everybody's
Works.
on board. So again, let's go back to the basic things you need to know. So if you don't see anything, don't worry, just zoom out. Either with your trackpad or worst case on the top right, you also have the plus and minus. Then what you need to be able to do is you need to be able to navigate left and right. I mean, you can either do it with a pen or pressing space and using your mouse or your trackpad. And you need to be able to later on zoom in far enough so we can actually read the cards. And you need to, with the select feature on the up left, you need to be able to move some of the cards around. Some of them are blocked, so you can't select them. But the other ones, like the one on top here, the colored ones, you should be able to move around like this. And if you can't move them, what can happen sometimes as a small trap in this tool, like if you select for some reason the background, like I have now, so there's a green frame around it, then you can actually not select the cards. So if that happens, click in the open field, then you are able to select the card again, you get a green frame, then you are free to move them around again. The other thing, and I hope you guys are all trying it out, you need to be able to do is you need to be able to select a post-it later on, click on the text, click on the post-it, and then you should also be able to write something. But you'll have quite some time. I hope you have the basics by now, but I'm sure you will figure that out. So now when you where you know how to navigate, the first step is to, okay, familiarize with the starting point we have here. I mean, of course, we don't do the full AI design sprint. It still takes a couple of sessions and quite some time. So here we have like a very first simple exercise. So here we are in the version we call process automation, where we, as the name suggests, focus on company processes. And here we actually have like a very small excerpt as a very simple example. So imagine we have a candidate screening process, very simple for everybody to understand. We have as an input, we have tons of application. The output we want to have here of the process is a list of candidates to invite for a video interview. But you don't even need to look at the whole process. We will solely focus for the purpose of this exercise on step number 2, where the employee actually reviews the social media, the candidate's social media accounts. So that's all you need to focus on at this point in time. And what we will do for that is we will basically, as the core of the process, we will go through a couple of steps. So just to give you a brief overview, we have the process we start with. We will match it with the cards, prioritize cards, and then form first solutions. So basically what we develop to provide stakeholders of all backgrounds with the knowledge of actually what can you do with this technology is the AI cards. And we think of it as you search for all AI-based use cases you can find and try to make those accessible in a very, very simple way. all derived not from a technical point of view, but from a point of view of, okay, how would a non-technical normal person understand what you can do with it? And the result is basically the AI cards. And what you see here are the different categories we have developed. So the first category, AI finds and sorts the most relevant information. The second one understands the past and present. Third, performs simple tests. Sees, hears and talks, creates, optimizes complex processes, predicts the future, or controls machines, robots, and vehicles. All those ways of using the capabilities of AI, I mean, obviously we chose a very broad definition, but all these ways are there. But we need to give the people a tool so they can actually discuss what makes sense. And behind the different categories, there's also a scheme. It's not perfect, but the first category, finds and sorts most relevant information, is rather simple, and it gets increasingly more complex. But that's enough about it. I mean, the AI card decks, I mean, obviously it's more in-depth than the different categories. So each category typically has 4 to 8 cards. That amounts to a total of 60 plus cards overall. Here we have chosen a couple of relevant cards that you can play with, so you get a starting point. Otherwise, it would take way too much time. And the first task is basically to look again at the step number 2 you will be focusing on, and then read through the cards on the left side and decide, okay, which of those cards or which of those capabilities do I find useful in order to address and improve the specific process that we are tackling at the moment. So basically what you do is you go to the left, you zoom enough in so you can actually read the cards. If you think the first card is relevant, you grab it and you push it over here and lay it on the height. You do with all the cards you think are relevant. So and you have, I don't know, I mean, it depends on how many you think you are relevant, but you have 6, 7 cards lined up here, which give you a starting point to think about, okay, what shall we do with it? And for this first step, you have 5 minutes starting now. Okay. You can already start while I fix my presentation. For whatever reason, yes. 5 minutes starting now. I cannot see questions or comments, Mike, if there is something.
So it seems like it's hard to read the cards even when zooming in. So it might be that the loading takes some time.
Yeah, that means you need to zoom in very close and then click on the card. Then the image loads. Because it's right, yeah, that at first it might be not loaded, and that's why it's blurry. Yes, I'm sharing the link also again. And time is running.
Exactly. So you have a little bit more than 3 minutes to read through the cards. Hopefully that's possible if you zoom in far enough and choose the ones which are most relevant.
So one more question is whether they should just focus on the second step, employee review, or also match cards to the other steps.
Primarily focus on the second step. If you are bored and already done, then you could, for fun, focus on the others, but we are mainly focusing on step number 2 for now.
Yeah, just go for number 2 and do that really good.
Once again, when you zoom in, then click on what you can see, and then it will focus on that section that you're at.
Exactly. You have to zoom in very, very close and then click on the card, and then it will load the image of the card. I hope that works, Barbara.
So we get the comment, this is a pretty intuitive brainstorm dashboard. Where has this been all my life? From Miguel, thank you.
Okay, I hope everybody's able to read now. We have 1 more minute.
Again,
Yes.
there's one who can't read the cards.
Oh no, so again, just zoom in, click on the card itself, then it will focus and give you better detail. Well, try the method that we are recommending.
Yeah, zoom in very, very close and then click on the card. And then it should load the image. And then you should be able to read it.
Okay, does it maybe work better if I zoom in here?
Yeah, and show it, yeah.
I can just take a little bit of time to maybe wait half a minute at each of the stages. Would that be better?
Okay, so for Ivan now it works. For Barbara, it does not work.
I did, but it doesn't work.
Okay, can you read it on the screen? Would that work better?
It's still very small on the screen.
Yeah, it might be also sufficient if you just read the top part, so the colored bit of the card, and go from there. If it's, I think that should be sufficient to stay in the workshop. If
exactly,
yes.
Yeah.
Well, then it's really tricky, but
yes. So let's do that. Let's work with the headlines for those who can unfortunately not read the whole thing. But if you get in touch later, we can give you a PDF or something so you can actually read it and go through a little bit more in depth.
okay. So the time is up for the first exercise.
And the next part is actually yours again, isn't it?
When we start with Joker card, yeah. Okay, so I go share now. Okay. All right. Okay, so I hope that at least most of you could do the first exercise. The second one is quite similar. Again, we are matching cards to process step 2, and also if you want to match it to the other parts, that's possible as well. So what is this Joker card all about, basically?
Maybe you can go into presenter mode, then you.
Yeah, I was going to just go onto the board.
Oh, yeah.
So here you can see that one Joker card, and it has a post-it note on it. So what you do now is you write on the post-it note what would be the AI process, or what would you want the AI to be able to do. So if you haven't been able to see the cards, then now you can also get the chance to make up the cards, but also just get some additional ideas what the AI should do. And then again, I go into the presenter mode, and you can then drag the card over to where you were dragging the cards previously to see what the AI should do. And you give your own idea. You put it down on the post-it. And
yeah,
again,
stuff you haven't found on the cards yet.
Exactly. And now for this, you have 3 minutes, unless there's any remaining questions, if my instructions haven't been clear. All good. So then the 3 minutes would start now. No. Oh. Yeah, so the time is counting.
So time is running. Usually we would play music. If you like, I can sing, but otherwise we'll have a little bit of quiet concentration, non-sound.
Music.
It's nice, wake up, happy time music. One minute 50 to go. Yes, there's the question of it's a shared board, but why can't I see the other participants? This is the great thing about this. It's not a shared board. It's your own personal, individual, just for you board. So everyone has their own board, which is super cool.
Usually we, of course, work in teams, but if we now have more than 20 people on one board, that would be quite a mess. Therefore, for the sake of this small exercise, each of you has your own board.
Okay, and we're almost done. Couple more seconds.
Elif, you should be, no. Man. Mandy, you should be able to move if you use your trackpad or mouse and press the space bar at the same time. Otherwise, on the top right, there should be a tool called, what's it called? Pen, which has the same function. I hope that helps.
Okay, so we are moving on to the next exercise. Now you should all have put down quite a few cards with that one process step. And now we are coming to prioritizing. So we just want to have up to 3 most important cards. Those ones should be left. And now you just get to select those and move them down to number 2, prioritize AI cards, and then you would just place them here. And you get 2 minutes. Once again, time starts now.
Ungroup.
It's not working.
Oh, you have the wrong element selected. Just click out of this.
It's not working. Okay, time is counting. 2 minutes.
Twenty seconds to go. Ten seconds left.
And time's up. So you all prioritized. Now you're up to 3 most important cards. We're moving on to the next step, which is to make a summary of those 3 cards. Now grab a Post-it note, move it down to one section below, number 3, solution concept. You bring your Post-it card in this area. What you put on it is just a sentence that describes the 3 cards or fewer that you've selected, how they can be merged into one solution. How do they form a solution? For this, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, and the way to write on the post-it, again, is like if you click on the post-it, but before you click on it, you select the text tool on the left side.
Yes, and you write down how would you use those 3 cards in the sentence.
And 3 minutes, time is starting.
While you write the sentence, there's the question in the chat. How would you do it in a workshop? To how should they prioritize the cards? Jonas, do you have?
Yeah, so usually we start with prioritization by value. So what do you really want to achieve or do if you could? Of course, it depends a little bit on the context and how much is already scoped and set in stone. But typically, we designers like to start with, okay, what would we like to do? And then broke it down to, okay, what does make sense for you? And what is how does the pipeline look building up to something that's more interesting? And yes, the team does so by, I mean, typically we work in team groups of 4, 5, maximum 6 people. And then it's a mix of, I mean, they do the same, right? First, they gather potentials they see individually, and then similar to what you've been doing now, break it down to the top 3 cards. Obviously, if you have many people, so you have way more opinions. So there we first start with silent dot voting, and once we have like a smaller pool of cards, then we start to discuss.
Okay, so the last 10 seconds for this exercise. And done. We have a final exercise which involves sketching. So you can also draw onto the post-it notes. Let's see how that works. You just select it first and make a drawing. So back to the presentation. What are you going to sketch? You sketch how your solution affects the interaction between the employees based on the statement that you've just put down, and you get 3 minutes to make your sketch.
Exactly, and maybe adding on to what Sabine presented, I mean, it could be that you now fully automate the whole step. In a sense, then you could leave it empty, but what is more likely is that we have something like here in the example, that you rather have a solution actually supporting the employee, and then you would make a first sketch that helps you to communicate, okay, what is happening here at this process step.
And the time starts now.
So 1 minute left. Did we already say that if you like, at the end, you can present your solution? Yes, of course. 20 seconds to go.
And time's up. So who would like to present their solution? Any volunteers who would like to share their screen and walk us through their solution? Anyone? So we have Miguel.
Yes.
That would be great. I stopped sharing. Can you share, Miguel?
Yes, give me a second. I'm trying to share. So this is I'm not known for my drawing skills. However,
Okay.
let me just see. Let me know if you can see.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So this was pretty. I didn't actually have much of a difference between the. So I'm supposed to describe all the cards, all the processes, or just the drawing.
Yeah, see how you came up with the solution. That would be great to know.
Okay. Well, I was looking at the step 1, 2, and 3, and I was thinking that the video interview shortlist, creating that list could be automatic as well. But at the same time, we might want for something such as recruitment, we might want to have a human supervision to that part. So I left that out for the manual traditional process. So basically, I was focused on recognizing anomalies in the data, CVs, resumes, etc. Then identifying problems, and I put them in the same order, but I actually put AI reads and understands written texts in between these two processes, because I think this will be applied both to the documents that the candidates submit, but also their social media. And then we would get the more AI oriented to topic detection, sentiment analysis to understand the personality traits of the candidate. So I thought that would be interesting. So basically, this was the part that I wanted to automate before we get, so we can hand intel, actionable information to the recruiters, decision makers. And then the solution concept, to prioritize applications, check online behavior for red flags, basically. And so this would be the idea, the illustration where basically we would have, obviously Jane Doe would have been the best candidates. There are unknown candidates below, which would be prioritized already. And then we will also have a list down here. Can you see the pointer as well?
Yeah.
Basically, we would have more people here, which would be like the cutoff. So this would produce some sort of score. And then it would probably highlight, for example, the first candidates would be with a green background, for example, because they had really good results. The yellow ones would be require manual check to make sure if there are resources available for that. And then there would be a red one in the bottom, which would be basically people who did not make the cut, but you would still provide that information just to avoid losing any potential interesting thing. That was my idea, basically.
Thank you. That's a very elaborate answer.
I will stop the screen sharing now.
Yes. Very cool.
And anyone who wants to comment, or anyone who wants to also present their solution? Any more volunteers? we are getting Julian. So Julian, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I try to set my desktop. Desktop 1. Oh, I can wait a second. I cannot share my screen because of admin rights right now for Zoom, but I can try to elaborate other way around.
Yeah, if you talk us through it, that's possible as well.
But then I'm going to turn on my camera. Hopefully this works. I guess so. This worked. Great. At least this. Yeah, my idea was that I'm going to use DIE to read and understand the written text and understand what happens on the images. And my joker card was somehow that I would like to link the personal interest with the media interest with the professional life. And the solution concept would somehow to figure out whether his ambitions in his professional life match with the things he does in his social private life. So seeing whether he's fully committed to the job he wants to commit somehow. Great. That's in a short term.
And how do you get on with your drawing? Unfortunately, we can't see it.
Yeah, I tried to draw a CV and a father with a kid somehow, and AI love with a heart. So it's kind of an amazing drawing, but yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And anyone else? One more who wants to share? We would have time for one more solution. Okay, if
we can also pick one. No, okay, Mandy says she would go for it.
Yeah, Mandy, can you share how does it work for you? If not, then you can also talk us through it, whatever you prefer.
Yeah, I think I can also not share the screen because I'm working with the online version of Zoom. But so I thought about, okay, maybe use the AI to find out where the person is everywhere in the social media. So to do facial recognition for the person, and then to collect all the information, so all the things that she's posting or where in which social media she is going, participating or posting anything. And then the next step to do a summary on the texts and so on, because it could be that it's quite a lot that the algorithm finds. And then the employee can just see the summary of the employee of this candidate, maybe also do a summary on the work, on the private stuff and such things. And then hopefully he has more input on what the candidate is as a person, or who the candidate is as a person.
Cool. And anything you want to share that you really enjoyed about the exercise?
I was a bit struggling with the tool, I have to say. So most of the time I was trying to like, no, don't destroy anything. But I really liked the cards to have like an input on the ideas, what the AI can do. Because I think otherwise I wouldn't have got the idea of the facial recognition part.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's not the most user-friendly version of this that we're doing for the workshop today. There's other tools for the groups to interact that we usually use. So this was only to make it available to a big audience. Mm-hmm. All right, so we just have a quick wrap up. I go share once again. So thank you for presenting. And well, we've only seen an extract of the AI design sprint today. So the actual longer version of it takes two half days. So 2 half days with the whole team of up to 6 people. So what do you get as a result? You get an overview of the current state of the AI in the context of your business, you get some ideas for viable AI use cases where we're focusing on one of them. And in this case, you've seen how a single process can be automated, or a single processing step. So in the real longer version of this, of course, we will also evaluate it in terms of the business value it can bring. And what else is important? Of course, everything in design thinking is user-centric. And it's also important to us to build an ethical AI solution. So there's also the ethics cards, which we haven't looked at today, that come in handy when we will also want to evaluate the ethics part of the solution. And of course, in the scenario that we've looked at today, that comes in here perfectly, because there might be some challenges when it comes to people's social media posts and so on. What's also important is that the AI is explainable, its interpretability. So those are also aspects that we'd be looking at. So as a result, you get a roadmap, which includes the data strategy for further implementation. It's a bit more than just strategy, because it is based on your actual data. So I'd come in as an AI expert to talk to your IT department, do the technical feasibility check as well, present the results of that, and then develop an experience prototype of your AI solution. Here are just some of the services that I offer, not only the AI design sprint, which really comes in when you first want to bring in AI into your organization. So the total, it takes 3 days to build the prototype, so basically 2.5 days for the sprinting part, then the technical check, as we've seen earlier on in the presentation. But it is really a quick start to make, to see what can be implemented, or at least you're enabled to decide whether you want to go further or not. And going further would mean to next go for an AI MVP. So we could build an MVP of your process, of your service, of your product. And then I also do more specialized data and AI consulting. So that's it. If you're interested